Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the Media Magpie podcast. Now, if any of you who are listening on Spotify, you won't be able to understand what I'm talking about, obviously, because this is the video side. But as you could probably tell from the video, if you're watching the video, I've dyed my hair. Now, it looks kind of orangey. It's like a red sort of orangey. I've dyed my hair. I sort of wanted to mix it up, I've had my hair for so long. I thought I wanted to dye my hair. I thought it'd be great. So, in which I feel like is very fitting for this episode. Hence, Billie Eilish has dyed her hair before. So, because, as I just said, the next topic we're going to be talking about in this episode is Billie Eilish, but not just Billie Eilish, mainly, primarily, her new album, Hit Me Hard and Soft. But before we sort of get into Hit Me Hard and Soft, I'll give you a bit of sort of who Billie Eilish is and what she's sort of accomplished as an artist. Because for some people who may not, listen to sort of that type of, what would you say, genre of music such as pop or indie pop, pop rock, you probably wouldn't be aware of. I mean, I doubt anyone would be aware of who Billie Eilish is. But again, there are people that live under a rock, so you may not know who she is. But that's okay. If you don't, I don't blame you. Everyone's got their own taste in music. That's fine. But I will be here to help explain who Billie Eilish is to you. So let's get into that. So basically, Billie Eilish is an American singer and songwriter who actually gained attention in the public eye from her single debut, Ocean Eyes, which I didn't mind. I didn't mind Ocean Eyes. I think it was pretty good. Compared to the stuff she's done now, is amazing. She's done a lot of, even a new album is just insane of how well she's progressed as an artist. But basically, yeah, her first album, which is When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? That debuted in the US Billboard 200 and the UK album charts. And then, if people do know Billie Eilish, they would probably know her for a song Bad Guy. That's probably how I first heard about her. And that's how a lot of people probably first heard about her. Her well-known song is Bad Guy. Bad Guy actually became the number one in the US Billboard's Hot 100, which made her the first ever artist born in the 21st century to achieve this, which is in and itself bloody insane. Like how crazy that is for someone of the 21st century artist to be the first ever one to earn that title. Because bear in mind, she was born in 2001. It was around roughly November 2001. I'm actually older than her, so yeah. But it's crazy. She's done a lot to progression since then. I mean, one of the things that she did right is that whenever they do like James Bond movies, they always get an artist to sing the theme for the song. Now, for No Time to Die, they got Billie Eilish to perform it. So she performed the theme song No Time to Die for the James Bond film, which won an Academy Award for Best Original Song in 2022. How insane is that? So she's won an Academy Award for that song. Not just that, she's won more than just that Academy Award. She's actually received multiple accolades, including Grammy Awards, MTV Video Music Awards, and Brit Awards. She's definitely, done some fair share of awards. She's very, if you don't know who she is, I'm quite surprised of how you wouldn't know who she is. But that's okay. I don't know a lot of artists as well. I'm sure there's artists that people out there that know that I don't know. So I'm not judging. It's fine. It's respectful. Like, each their own, right? Everyone listens to their own taste of music. Anyway, going back onto Billie Eilish. But basically, she was also very known for, how she's been, she focuses on women's rights, gender equality, and animal rights. She's very vocal about that stuff. And she's very open about her own sexuality as well. She's been very open about talking about that stuff, which we don't need to get into the detail on that. If you want the detail, you can sort of look it up or listen to interviews and watch all the stuff that she talks about. But she's very, very well spoken about that, and she talks a lot about that type of stuff. She's also, again, as she's won a Grammy, she's also the youngest person ever to win a Grammy, which was for the album of the year, for When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? That was where she won that. But basically, she also got another award-winning song, which was in a soundtrack of a certain movie. that came out. And now this movie I will definitely be doing on the podcast. I won't say when, but I definitely will be doing this movie. It's 100%. It's one of my probably, if not my favorite movie of that year, which was 2023. But she made an award-winning song called "What Was I Made For" the soundtrack of the Barbie movie. Now that movie was great. I will admit, and I would love to go into detail about that and talk about that, but I'm going to save that for when that episode comes out. So I'll leave that for then. That's fine. I won't do that now. I'll leave that for when that episode comes out. But basically, at a young age, Billie Eilish is really, she was encouraged to, embrace her passions outside of the education system, embrace what she felt passionate about. And as a child, Billie Eilish actually, one of the things she sort of experimented with was horse riding, which is an interesting one. I can kind of see that as a young Billie Eilish sort of riding horses, as a young girl. That's sort of one thing I guess young girls might experiment with. Even young boys could also sort of, and it's not really gender specific horse riding, but you will probably statistically see more females doing horse riding than males. But other than that, it's for anyone. But she did horse riding, dancing, and singing as a member of the Los Angeles Children's Chorus, which is crazy. So it makes sense that she's had this passion for singing as an artist because she got to sort of be passionate about that at a very young age due to her parents letting her sort of explore that avenue. And in 2015, Billie Eilish's elder brother, if anyone doesn't know so she has a brother, which his name is Phineas, who performs under Phineas O'Connell, who performs under Phineas, just Phineas, which makes sense, enlisted her to sing Ocean Eyes, a song he had written and produced for his band at the time and later put online. So yeah, she's done a lot of, and so basically who Billie Eilish gets to write and produce her songs with her is a brother. It's a brother and sister duo because Phineas has done stuff in the past with other artists. I won't be able to name them off. I think Justin Bieber he's done a song with, and he's done stuff with other artists that I can't name off the top of my head. I should have done some research on him. That's my bad. He works with his sister. So it's pretty good. It's pretty insane that Billie is very lucky to have a brother who's very talented and and I will say very, very talented in the way that he creates and designs music. And in particular, I'll get into it, for this album, she actually sort of produced some of the music herself, and Phineas stepped in the back. I remember watching an interview where Billie was actually in the producer seat and Phineas was behind the back on the couch because they do it in his basement in a sort of music room that they have set up. And Billie would usually sit on the couch, he would do it, and they'd sing it, and she'd sing it with a little mic on the couch. But no, she was actually in the sitting room, and she was sitting on the desk sort of helping produce that stuff. And What Was I Made For, which was from Barbie, is not the only movie that she's made music for. She's also collaborated with Disney, Pixar, which is an insane collaboration to collaborate with. And the songs that she actually did and collaborated for were for Turning Red, which was another really good Pixar movie. Pixar, I don't think they've done really wrong. Like Pixar, they know what they're doing, and Turning Red is a really good movie. It's a really interesting movie. I might also have to consider doing that on the podcast as well. But we're not going to talk about that now. We won't get into detail. We're talking about Billie Eilish. And in the film, the songs that were performed by the fictional sort of boy band Four Town were actually, the songs written by Billie Eilish and her brother, which were, she wrote 3 original songs for that movie, which were performed by that band, which is really insane. So that's really cool. And then again, she contributed to making, What Was I Made For the Barbie movie, which I'd love to talk about and get into, but we'll save it for next episode. But I will admit, spoiler alert, I did cry at the end of Barbie. That movie made me cry. So yeah. And then to catch sort of up to speed, obviously this year in 2024, something that everyone knows if they're a big Billie Eilish fan, and they know it, and this is what I'm doing this podcast on, is that she's released her 3rd album, Hit Me Hard and Soft, which a lot of critics have sort of praised her on the female-centric songs And they've also sort of, a lot of people, especially on Twitter or X now, X former Twitter, TikTok, just all the social medias have sort of, praised Billie Eilish for a song Lunch, which is not the song we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be doing a different song if I haven't said already. But everyone's been raving about Lunch because that was sort of, not to get too much detail, but that's where she sort of, I guess she revealed a bit of herself that people might have not been expecting her to, and they praised her for that. And it was a very interesting song, and I loved it. I was actually contemplating doing it for this episode of the podcast, but I felt that this song, to me, when I first heard this song, I really resonated with this song. I really felt the power in this song. And every time, and still to this day, every time I listen to this song, it gives me literal chills. And even thinking about the song, even talking about it right now is already starting to, if you can probably, I don't know if you can see, is starting to put tears in my eyes, because it's a very emotional song, and and you can feel it. You can feel the sort of power from the vocals that Billie has, and it's something that she shows. It's not just a song, it's a story, and it's a story about Billie and how she sort of, had these thoughts. So we're going to get into that now. So the song we're going to be talking about, if I haven't already said, is Wildflower by Billie Eilish. Now this song sort of focuses, and this is the fifth song in her album, in the new album, Hit Me Hard and Soft. Now, as I said, this song is very, emotional, and it sort of describes, sort of the thoughts that anyone might be thinking about, sort of about a current partner's ex, and so how you're in a relationship with them. And not only that, it's like the song is talking about how when you date, it's like dating someone you're dating your best friend's ex, and you're in a relationship with them, and the sort of feelings that you feel about that, and how did you sort of go past that line that you should never cross? Like, is that something that I should have done? And that's what this song shows and sort of talks about and describes, is that, Billie's gone through this experience where she's crossed that line, and she doesn't know if that should have been a line that she crossed. So that's sort of what the song talks about. And again, naturally, everyone over on, X and TikTok and all the social media were upset, crying, yelling, screaming about this song, because it was very emotional. And I feel that if anyone knows Billie Eilish, she is a very emotional person. In her music, she is very vocally emotional. And most people describe her songs as sad songs, which is true. But there are some happy songs like Lunch. But she really put her time and effort into making these lyrics and putting the amount of emotional power into these lyrics. And that's why I felt that this song was a good one to talk about on this podcast. So, to get into sort of the verse, to sort of analyze these verse. So in the song, in the first verse, Billie sort of takes it from an outsider's approach. She's not really it's not really her in there. It's sort of the outside view of what she's talking about. As she sort of says and sings, things fall apart and time will break your heart. I wasn't there, but I know. So she wasn't, and when she's talking about how the experience of obviously getting broken up with an ex, and that even though she wasn't sort of there, she can feel that pain from said feelings of the other person, because she's talking about another person moment. She's an outsider at this point. This is her singing as an outsider. She goes, she was your girl, you showed her the world, you fell out of love, and you both let go. So as far as, it's falling out of love, it's a hard thing to do, right? It's a hard thing to do. And that in the said lyrics, right? She was your girl. You showed her the world. It says that, even though you have these sort of breakups and maybe it feels right at the time, after said breakup, you sort of feel like, did I make the right choice? Did I stuff up? Was this sort of the right thing to do, you know? I loved this person with all my heart and I've just let them go, right? Like, why did I do that? And that's sort of the sort of questions that Billy's sort of talking about and sort of ponder in when you have a breakup. Yeah, so she's singing about that. And then sort of in the pre-chorus, before the chorus sort of starts up, it talks about how Billy sort of confronts her partner's ex. So because we'll get into it a bit more, she was best friends with the partner that she was with at this time for this song's ex. And she sort of confronts that and sort of describes, the emotional closeness that she developed with this said person and how she was supporting this person with her part. She was really supporting her partner's ex. As she sings in the song, she was crying on my shoulder. All I could do was hold her. Only made us closer until July. Now, there's a real reason why she says that date. It all links with this story. It all links with the song. And people have figured out who she's talking about and why she's talking about, which we won't mention now. We'll get into it when we get further into the song. But she says, now I know you love me. You don't need to remind me. I should put it all behind me, shouldn't I? And this is sort of obviously in the lyrics, as she's saying, she's questioning how even though that she's done this thing by falling in love with, her friend's ex, which was her partner, and falling in love with her friend's ex, is that, they've all, as she said, they've made up for it. They've made up for it, She's saying, I know that you love me and that I don't need to be reminded. But she's still questioning if, I should sort of forget about it and past is past and let it go, or really sit in and sort of think, should I let this go? Is this the right thing to do? And that's what this song's about, sort of not letting this go and sort of talking about it. And sort of the constant thought about the ex-friend's like the partner and all this stuff. And it's very confusing when I don't say who it is, and I get it. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to the whole details of who this is and who the partner is and what is all that. But we need to get through the song first before we get to that story. So I'll get there. But basically, as she sort of, questions herself she sort of in the chorus questions herself. In the chorus, she goes, I can see her in the back of my mind all the time. So, and she says, and this is what she says it's like a fever, and she's burning inside. So, and then the one thing that everyone questions if they ever go through finding love with one of your friend's exes is that, did I cross that line? And that's one of the things she says in the chorus. One of the biggest lines in that chorus is, did I cross the line? Because one of the things that probably I would say everyone can agree on when you are dealing with relationship with your best friends, maybe ex-partners, or just a friend's partner, is that you don't cross that line of dating them and having a relationship with a friend's ex-partner, because it'll get messy. People might, you might get compared to your friend, saying that, oh, your friend did this better than you, blah, blah, blah. And obviously Billy's having those feelings of, I've done this now. Did I just cross that line? And was this a bad thing to cross this line? And this is the one thing that's always said in the chorus, because did I cross that line? And that's sort of really it really hits. And even if for someone who hasn't experienced dating someone's, like a best friend's ex, or, even maybe knowing someone that's done it, you still can you can hear it as well. And that's the one thing I find powerful about this song. You can hear the power and the emotion in Billie Eilish when she sings this song, and you know that she's experienced it. And I felt like that's why this song was a very good song, and when I listened to it for the very first time, And for the very first times that I listened to this song, before even knowing what it was about, I knew this song was special. There was some emotional connection to it, an emotional power behind it. I couldn't explain what it is. I could gather that it was about a breakup and about a partner, but I could tell that it wasn't just words to her, Billie. That there was actually a story to it. There was a past to it. It's like she experienced it, and she did. So and it makes it very powerful. And I feel like when emotions are connected to a song and they're connected well, that's when a song is done right. Oh. Anyway, so basically and that's sort of the analysis of that. Like, she asked herself, did she cross that line? And it's always in the back of her mind, you know? Anyway, and this second verse sort of, explores about, Billie Eilish's curiosity about the ex-friend's quality as a girlfriend, and it sort of highlights, and contrasts between said ex-friend and, ex-friend and her, right? And it's sort of, she sort of questions, and while she talks about in said lyrics of the second verse, she sort of discusses about the emotional weight of, knowing her partner's past. And that how, like, obviously, of course, it's valid that any person that you date would have a past before you. Like, they don't, they wouldn't just be dating you. I mean, unless you are their first boyfriend or girlfriend, which is very rare sometimes for people, is that people have a past. And knowing that their past involves someone that it gets very complicated. And even not just for not just for you knowing that friend, but also the partner knowing that you're friends with said ex, it gets very complicated for them as well. So that's why people just don't really think, and I think it's a sort of a rule, is that you wouldn't really go to that side of the line. But this is what this song's talking about, and how that's happened. And then in the bridging of the song, it sort of talks about how Eilish has the haunting thoughts about a partner's awareness, and how, I guess, the partner has not really moved on. And it sort of, confirms that not just the partner, but neither Eilish and the partner fully moved on. And as the song goes, you said, but yeah, so it says, but every time I touch you, I just wonder how she felt. So every time Billie touched her partner at that time, she always wondered how her friend, her ex, felt. And then, as she says in the song, she sings the lyrics, she says, Valentine's Day, crying in a hotel. I know you didn't mean to hurt me, so I kept it to myself. And in that, she was sort of saying that it was Valentine's Day, and, the partner at the time realized that he wasn't over, Billie Eilish's friend, which is obviously his ex, right? And they were both dealing with that said, emotions. And it's not an easy thing to get over an ex. It takes time for someone to move into a relationship really quickly. I don't know how quick the relationship moved into, but for someone to move in a relationship and still have those memories, they might be quite recent memories or very close memories of said ex, and knowing that said ex is friends with your current partner, makes it really hard to push aside those feelings. I mean, just in general, it makes it's really hard to push aside those feelings you once had for said person who's now your ex. And I know as a man myself, even for people I haven't dated, but I was so close to dating and going on dates with, it's sometimes I always look back on my past and sort of question that, did I do this right? Did I do this wrong? And sort of as men, we hold on to our feelings deeply. And I feel like when we find that said person, we don't let them go. We put our soul into them. We put our soul into taking care of this one person, whether that be a female, male, non-binary, whoever you want to date, right? And so I feel like as a male, as a probably, how would I say it? What's the word? I don't know the word off the top of my head. My brain's just not really thinking about it. But anyway, let's just get into the sort of the topic of the song, and let's sort of identify who this friend is and what this relationship is, and who is Billie talking about in this song. Because I've sort of obviously explained the sort of the meaning behind the lyrics and what it's about, but I haven't explained who it's about. I've explained what, but not who. So let's now get into the topic of who it's about. So who is this friend and who is this partner in question? So fans are all convinced, myself included, and I would say it's true. I don't know if she's come out and confirmed this. I haven't looked it up, but it lines up with what she's explained and how it's all working, right? Is that the song Wildflower is about Billie Eilish's long-term friend, Devon Lee Carlson. And Eilish dated Carlson's ex-boyfriend, Jesse Rutherford. And they dated from October 2022 to May 2023, which sort of tracks in the timeline of that is present in Wildflower. So it makes sort of sense, and it sort of really connects and interlinks with said song. And to even more prove that point is that the word Wildflower actually is never mentioned in the song lyrics. As I have stated, I've never said any of the words. There's no word of Wildflower in the song. But it just so happens that Devon Lee Carlson, Billie Eilish's long-term friend, co-owns a phone case company, and the brand of it is called Wildflower Cases. Now, if that doesn't say anything of it meaning her, then I don't know what is. But I think that's kind of what it is. I think that's it. Like, there's no way it can't be about her and her ex-boyfriend, Jesse Rutherford, because obviously the message of saying Wildflower is a nod to her phone case company, which links back to her, because, as I said, Carlson co-owns that company. But that's the who it is. And sort of, I remember seeing a TikTok video about it, explain the backstory while it was sort of playing the song in the background of how this song is meant to be and what the story is behind it. And once I knew the story of this song, and I knew that Billie had some emotional sort of connection to the lyrics she was saying, that she felt it, I could see it. I could see it clearly. As I could see it clearly now. The rain is gone, but I could see it. And I could see why this song was so powerful, and I could feel it. I could really feel, when I first, again, going back to, as I said, when I first heard this song, I could really feel it in my heart. I could feel it. It was very powerful and emotional. And I recommend for anyone who hasn't listened to it already, listen to it now. I honestly, still to this day, even though I've heard it a million times, I still feel the raw emotional power that this song has. Still to this day. I mean, the song hasn't been out for long, but I still feel that raw emotional power that this song has. But yeah, sort of to summarize about this song, I guess, is that, again, it sort of talks about how, in the chorus, as I said, she's questioning to herself, did I cross that line? And that's sort of what this song talks about, that all this stuff happened, and this is her past, and she's worried that she's stuffed up. But as she did say in the start, like, I should put this behind me, shouldn't I? But it's not an easy thing to put behind you. Some things just come back and haunt you in the ass, and this is what it's doing for Billie. She has these set emotions, and it's haunting her, and she has to let it go. And I feel like this song, for her, I can't quote this for her, I can't say this in regards to her, but I feel like this song is sort of her way of letting go of said past, of said story and experience with her friend and her ex-partner, which is also her friend's ex-partner. And I guess this is the way of her letting it out and expressing that, she feels deeply sorry for what she has done, and that she is worried that she has not done this right thing, and her mind questions and boggles it, and she has these thoughts. And and again, as I said, it's a very powerful message in this song. And oh my God, it's just crazy. And I really encourage anyone from what they should take from this song is that that you need to process your feelings. And whatever way you do that to process your feelings, either listen to music, go on a walk, talk to family, talk to friends, I recommend you do that. There's a healthy thing to do. Don't let your feelings bottle up. Don't let your past come back to haunt you. You got to find a way to release that. So I really encourage people to to not just ignore their feelings, and that might be related to past relationships or whatever, but they talk about it, they let it out, and they sort of process it. And I recommend you do that, because if you don't do that type of stuff, it haunts you, and it will stay with you, and it might even cause you to go into a depression that you will not expect. And I'm not just saying that as a person who doesn't know that. I'm saying that from a person of experience. And I'm sure a lot of young people in my generation would say that they have had the experience of that too. First world problems, and all right. But it might be first world problems, but as I always say, no problem is big nor small. That's not important. A problem may seem small, but at the end of the day, it's not how small or big the problem is. It's how a person may react to that problem is how important that problem is. And again, don't ever think that you are not important. You got to take care of yourself. And I say this to myself as well. I sometimes I would say, and this is obviously I don't want to say this as like I'm a like a good person, but I do. I put myself in front of others, and I don't think about myself a lot. So as a person who does that himself, I recommend sometimes you really just need to think about number one, and that number one is you. So again, yeah, this song is sort of a reminder, I feel like, for other people to process those emotions and talk about them. So that's what's powerful about this song, and that's what's so good about this song. And that's why I felt like I needed to talk about it, because Billie, oh God, her album's amazing. It's such a good album. It's so good. And this was one of the good ones. So, I mean, the whole album's great. But yeah, that sort of, I guess, wraps up this episode. This one's a very deep and dark episode compared to the first one, I will admit. And I'm, if people aren't watching them, it's dark. I thought it fit the mood of this song, and I'm not talking very loud because my voice, I went to a concert the other night, and so I don't want to yell and scream, and it's a bit late at night. So, but thank you for all being here and watching or listening to this podcast. I hope you all enjoyed, and I full-heartedly recommend that you listen to the album Hit Me Hard and Soft on wherever you listen to your music, whether it be Apple Music, Spotify, whatever. But thank you all for, again, listening or watching this podcast. And yeah, I'll see you in the next episode. So yeah, thank you, everyone. Goodbye.